Matt. I can't find Matt. Hang on 2 seconds. It's going to be good. Where is it? When was the last time I talked to him? I don't know. It must have been early. Okay, there he is, Matt. All right, so, okay. All right. Almost there. It's going to be so good. I'm going to be like, wow, I'm so glad you. That was the best use of all our time. Right, but it's an old message, so I'm just scrolling back to see, because I woke up from a dream, and I sent him the dream because it was a really visceral dream that I had maybe about a month ago that I want to turn into a song. Started in the same way. So did Effervescent off of Epicloud, Awake off of whatever the fuck that album is. There's one on Empath as well. It started that way as well. But I'll have a dream, and in the dream there's a song playing, and then I wake up and I sing it into my phone, my idea, and then I mail it to myself, right? So this is a 2-part explanation of it. So I'll show you first one of the things that I mailed to myself. I had showed at one of the things in London recently, but here, just one more time. This here, Keanu Mid. Let's see if this one. Right. Oh, it's going through the speaker in the other room. Sorry. Bluetooth off. There we go. Answer, it's going to be good. Oh, it's not turning off. Why are you turning off? Oh, there we go. Okay, so Keanu, where were you here, buddy? Right. Oh, no, that's not it. Pre-chorus. See this one? Pre-chorus. No, wait. One. There we go, there we go. Wait. And I wake up with that mailed to me, right? And happened in the same way. So here's the mail that I sent to Matt about it. Yes. Oh, I thought you said Dev, like you had a question. Sorry, I didn't mean that so flippant. All right, sorry.
What?
Oh, man. That's how I am with my kid, too. It's great. So here's an idea for a song. I don't know what it's going to be called yet, but I woke up and my buddy Matt, I sent him this. And I said, I was in a white house coat with a bunch of Western people on a dirt road. Then all of a sudden there was a sign that everyone was supposed to assemble for a spiritual meeting, and everyone started walking up a hill. I was unhappy to be with Westerners, but kept going. Everyone started chanting high, 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 high at intervals of a casual tempo. It started softly, and I found myself on my own, headed up a hill on a path. I realized people were headed both directions. My interval in the collective chord was odd, but nice. Then it became louder, and I realized that it wasn't only Westerners. This time, the note began to change to something that became very obvious. Around every measure, basically, the high, high, high became so loud and so transcendent, I could hear the upper harmonics with women, and the chords, when they changed on every measure, became a fascinating chord. Major to major to major to major. Didn't matter what note everyone changed to on their own accord. It formed a monumental and colossal new movement ascending towards some transcendental peak. So, and then I recorded it. So, Mark, he just sent.
What time did you send?
Oh, a bunch of dudes pissing each other's mouths. Thanks, Mark. That's fucking great. This is epic.
Did you knock your one out?
I wasn't! I was not knocking one out. I was knocking a whole litany of them out at the same time. So that was a question that went a long way. Great, all right, so. Who or what is Mora from Canada and Critic Songs? Many thanks. Okay, Mora. Oh my God, I'm such a fucking nerd. Holy shit. Mora is the name I gave to my imaginary friend who is a moth. I didn't get laid for years. In high school, never happened, never once. It's like anytime there's anybody that had even a hint of interest, like, so what's your name? I was like, my name's Devin, this is my imaginary moth. Where was the other garden if you decided going to Reading was the better idea? The other one said on Google, the second biggest in London. You know? Whatever, they got their second best trees. The whole thing with Reading is I thought it had said on Google that to get to the garden you go to Reading. So fuck, I went to Reading. I'm sorry. Yeah, other one, it doesn't even count. Second best. Yeah, you ain't first or last. Have you worked out how to play the automaton yet? If so, play Lucky Animals on it. I think the battery's low. I think the battery. It's because I left it on. And I know I left the batteries on. And lucky. Woo! I left the batteries on. I drained the batteries. I will film it later and put it on Instagram, I promise. Yeah. All right. What is your favorite dog breed? Also, unrelated question, but are you planning on doing a tour date in Portugal anytime soon? Thank you. Same. What is your favorite Disney song? Okay. I'll answer these one at a time. My favorite dog breed. All right. I like dogs. They're just such like lummoxes. It's like, oh. You know, and the cats just, I think I like French bulldogs because they're like a combination of cute and disgusting. And I like the huskies, and I don't know, they're all shit-eating, turd-gobbling weirdos. I like them all, they're great, they don't lie to you, it's awesome. All right. Also, unrelated question, are you planning on doing a tour someday in Portugal? No idea, so sorry, I really don't know. Say, what is your favorite Disney song? What would be one that would give me some sort of cred to say I like? Oh, I kind of like the Moana one. I don't remember it at all, but I remember liking it. All right, I'm gonna pound, holy fuck. Guys, do you like, these questions are really interesting. Do you like badgers? If so, what's your favorite? Like my favorite, like type of badger? I'm gonna go with honey badger. But apparently at the garden I went to, the best garden, by the way, they have these little badger, what are they called, schemes or something? It's like they show where the badgers hang out, but like, what, sets? Yeah, so they have those, but they're very public, those badgers, you know, and I think the honey badger is a bit of a badass, so I'm gonna go with that. Going through these questions, whoa, that's handwriting, that is a serial killer right there. Okay, this one. As a bald gentleman, I flatulate. No. Fluctuate. As a bald gentleman, I fluctuate between looking like an earthworm and a slug, depending on how many beers I drink. What invertebrate best describes you? Well, as a Canadian, being the passive-aggressive group of invertebrates that we are, I think Canadian is the best thing that I could go with. And I'll give you a practical example of Canadian passive. Oh, the best joke. Don't ruin it for me, for the people who've heard it. It took 40 times I told it. How do you get 30 Canadians out of a swimming pool? Time to get out. Okay, hey, we didn't realize we were in the pool for that long there, bud. We'll get out of there. Sometimes an invertebrate, I'll stick with Canada. Do you have any advice for aspiring artists that want to make a living off their own music? Yes. absolutely. Learn to fail. Honestly. Because I think a practical example of this was, so last night, it was a cool show. I enjoyed it. I think I sang okay, but I came off of it like feeling underwhelmed by it on some level. And there was a certain amount of pressure for it to be really good because it's London and it's the first 2 nights, and for, you know, it's just on a personal level. You want to make sure everybody's happy and all this sort of thing. And it was good. But at the same time, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was like, wow, you're kind of on autopilot with that. You're not being as free as you're hoping that these shows will allow you to be. And the first thing that comes into that is a sense of like, oh, I fucked up. Oh, I failed on some level, even if it's a subtle level. And then today, prior to the show, like even going away to the garden and doing all these sorts of things, it was about, well, how do you let it go? How do you let go of this self-criticism that would disallow you from performing to the level that you'd like to? And it's a fine line, because in order to do it appropriately, for me, I've got to be relaxed. I've got to be, it's a combination of knowing that it's important, but also not adhering this overwhelming sense of importance to it, to the point where it's immobilizing, and learning to get over that sort of sense of like either discouragement or failure or anything. And it can be, here's an example. Say you've spent 40,000 of your own dollars on making a demo. And, you know, I know people that do this, of course. And then you make it, and you got the CD, and you get the best artwork, and you master it, and it sounds great, but you can't get it signed, right? Or you go to a thing and you give it away to somebody and no one wants to hear it or something. It happens to a lot of us, right? At that point, you're sort of at the crux of an artistic decision that you can use in one of 2 ways. You can either say, okay, well, I've done this, it didn't work, fuck it, I'm over it. Or you can say, okay, well, my objectives in the beginning here were to make something that articulated these things that inside me were important enough to share with others. I've done that. So how do you get over that? How do you get over that sense of failure? Like, I've wasted my money and no one wants to hear it. The only thing you can do is just get over it. And the difference between the beginner echelon and the intermediate echelon, which is where I'm at, I'm kind of in the intermediate level, is that, I think, almost exclusively, the ability to handle failure. Once you've been hit with anything, how do you get back up? And people, I think, subconsciously judge you for how you react to things that are potentially really destructive to your artistic motivations. So if you're someone who is working on music or art in general, the biggest thing, and I can't stress it enough, is those moments where you're just like, holy fuck, I can't come back from this. Or even the moments where you're just like, oh my God, that was embarrassing, I don't want to do it again. If you can get over that and keep moving up and then find ways to sort of better yourself, that's where I think people will start to take notice. So, hooray! Okay. Thank you. You hate singing? Question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, question mark. I don't get it! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. With a voice like that! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. I think this is a statement, but I will say thank you. And this tour, and this is what I was hoping for this tour, is that by coming out here and being without, you know, the click tracks and the backing tracks, and without having to put on an outfit and allowing myself just to sort of be who I am and let that change night by night, it puts me in a position where I become more comfortable with myself. So when I start touring again, I'm going to be ready to like give it. And what I found from doing this is I'm really enjoying singing right now. So, you know, slow progress, still progress. Is there going to be a Ziltoid coloring book? So what would the pictures be? I'm trying to imagine, right? And what would its demographic be as well? Because if it's kids, you gotta be really careful. That's how I think Z2 went a little astray for me, because in the first one, you know, I had a kid who was just a knee blob. You know, he was just like pooping and shitting and he was like, oh, stop yelling. And then, so I could just, I'm like Ziltoid, I was like, I remember doing these YouTube things where it was like, stick it in their cups, right? You know, and it was like, totally fine. But then all of a sudden, Z2, it's like my kid, my sister's kids, and like the neighbor's kids, They're like, "Well, you working on it?" And I'm just like, "Well, he's an alien, but he's a nice alien. He's a little troubled by, you know what I mean?" And I was thinking, fuck, he got neutered. So I think that if there's a coloring book, if the demographic is for adults, it could really be cool. There'd be a lot of pink. But no plans currently. All right. I'm an artist at the beginning of my career, and I suffer from OCD, perfectionist. Knowing your experience dealing with psychological problems, what would you advise to someone like me wanting to pursue a musical career? Okay, well, first thing I would say is I think there's a distinction to be made between clinical OCD and somebody who just has high standards. And I think if you've got high standards, that is something to celebrate on a lot of levels. And there's certain ways that that can be reined in, so you don't end up chasing your tail and working on one song for 10 years because you're afraid of people criticizing it or whatever. I think what you can do in that situation is impose deadlines on yourself or have other people impose deadlines on yourself, because as a perfectionist, I've had to come to terms with the fact that not only am I not perfect, but it will never be right. Ever. Ever. And you too. It will never be right. So you just got to abandon it at some level. You just have to sort of give up. I said, wow. Okay, so why did I just derail? I just derailed. Okay, watch this. See, this is a practical example. I said something a second ago, and I can't remember what it was, but I felt everything just go, whoa. And that's not what I meant to do. But I think it's what I meant to do. So how do you get past it? Okay, so you... fuck it. Right. So, and I think that is a great example right there. That whole thing. It's just like, I want everything to be perfect all the time. And it's not. We're human. We're fucking crazy. So just let it go. And I think that it's easier said than done. But oh, God. Wow, look at me emotionally moving up and down like that. What a fucking banana. Holy cow. Holy cow. I'm going to move on from this one because I don't have a good answer for this because I'm still working on this myself. Just try and go easy on yourself, you know, like try not to beat yourself up too much when it's, you know, you can't get the low end of the kick drum to mesh with the low end of the bass or whatever it was. All right. Would you accept to do a feature on one of my songs? I'm going to say no. But I have a reason for that, and it's because it sets a precedent. I get asked so much to sing on people's material, even people who are signed or people that maybe are currently working at some level. I say no to it all the time, like several times a month at least. And as soon as I say yes to one, it brings the onslaught of it all. And so I have to say no, but good luck with your project. Thank you for your music. It helped me in my life and also influenced me as an artist. Oh, you're so welcome. This is not a question. Name, Gavin Townsend. All right. My name is only 2 letters away from yours. On this basis, can I be on your next project? No. Okay. I know! Wait. Did I just say I know? Oh my God. Yeah, come on. Get it together, motherfucker. Get it together. You can do this, man. You can do this. It's been such a great night. Fucking pull your head out of your ass. Come on. Ready? Ready? Okay, how do you do it? Play a song. You gotta hold on for 2 seconds. Just play a couple of notes, and then you're gonna be good. Check this out. Okay, guys, I need to do this. Bear with me. 2 seconds. All right, right there. I just want to do this real quick. All right, so let me see. It's like I get derailed so fucking easily, man. Like honestly, it's crazy, and it's worse now than it's ever been. I just find myself like.
So, where were we?
A great technique for chilling yourself out, because like I've got this, just in general, I get worked up really easily. Like it's just, like things happen and I get derailed, and even small things, and then I'm just off. And this is even going back to the questions that we were talking about earlier, taking photos and trying to learn about what my limits are as a person. It's like I find that I get worked up about something, and then it just spirals, and and then it's too much. And technique that I learned recently, which has been great, is you breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth, right? Like so. And it works really good. And I find that whenever I'm getting worked up now, just like take a minute and just consciously pull yourself out of it, play some guitar, just take a breath, and realize that it's like all this like neurosis that starts flying off into the ether here. It's just your own trip getting all worked up about things that is ultimately not important to what you're trying to do. So that's guitar. I just love guitar, man. Just like to be able to do those noises, it's so great. Okay, thank you for that. Is there going to be a 5.1 surround release of Empath? Yes, I think so. So I've been working on this film for it. But similar to the tab books, I'm finding that my interest for the movie is like moving up and down. And maybe a series of videos. But I'm certainly going to mix it in 5.1, and that will be released either way. And I hope that it gives me the opportunity to sort of actualize what I hear Empath being, rather than I did the best that I could with it, but it's stereo. You got two speakers, and you're trying to jam all this information and all the frequencies that I'm most concerned about having a voice for are all sort of existing within this high mid thing. That makes it very difficult to not only get space for each other, but also compress it or limit it at the end to the point where it sounds right. So the 5.1 mix is my first opportunity to actually mix an album in surround, and hopefully I can hammer it. Hopefully I can really make it work. So I've booked 7 days in May to get that done. So that'll be the first thing I try. So thank you.
Nice.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah. Ollie. He's 40. Oh, Gavin is 40 on Saturday. Whoa, this is a map. Tell us about recording Sex and Religion. I was 19 years old, and I didn't know how to articulate my discontent with the situation, so I shit on a lot of things. Like, literally. If you have your phone at this point, and you type in Devin Townsend phone in ass, you will see a picture of me from the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, where I put the phone in the main office up my ass. And took photos of it, and didn't realize until the next day when we got massive shit from the Tonight Show that they have cameras in the room filming it as well. And at the time, this was my reaction to being told no. So I'd like to think that although the record turned out well, and Steve and I are very good friends now, that I have grown to the point where now if I have something that I need to express to somebody and I feel less than favorable about that decision going in a certain way, I can state it as such. But at that time, it was a little different. I remember at the end there where we went on tour and I didn't want to go on tour, and so I think it came out in the magazine recently, so I took a dump in Steve's guitar case. So that's how it was recorded. Sex and Religion. Where is good for breakfast in Vancouver? There's a place called Roundel Cafe, Roundel, and they've got Benedicts that are fucking awesome. All right. Do you still need to listen to Rain Blood to pee? No, I moved. So I had Rain Blood, then I had Fashion by David Bowie, and now, and I mean this is like, it's a silly, okay, for those of you who aren't aware of where this came from, I have a hard time peeing in public, so I would have a song on my headphones that was like Pavlovian as a response, and when I heard it, I'd be like, oh, now I can pee. So I used Rain of Blood, and I used Fashion by David Bowie, and but now, and I mean truly, like this whole empath, the record, everything that I've been working on has been with a practical purpose. Like I'm trying to fix some of these neuroses. Now I can pee, man. Okay, caveat, I have to have the stream already started. If somebody comes in, it won't stop. But if there's some dude there, it's not going to happen. So, slow progress, still progress. Okay, so. All right. In Meatball, whose mouths, fuck, these questions are crazy. In Meatball, whose mouths are included in the video? So the main Meatball mouth is Beef he was a bass player in DTP, and we've known each other since we were 12. Like, I remember, like, going to his parents' house when they were out of town and just getting so shit-faced, and, like, he had dirt bikes, and we tore up his parents' carpet, and he got such shit. So we've known each other forever, and that's his chin. And another buddy of ours, Manesh, who played keyboards and strapping for 10 minutes, and me, right? So that's it. I can't elaborate on that one much more. All right. Shannon, up for a three-way. Let me think about that. Well, I can't pee around people to begin with. Let me ask my wife. No, but I will add that to the spank bank for later. Thank you. You think I'm joking. How easy do you find it to relearn old material for shows? Not at all. So I have, for example, lyrics. Yesterday I played Divine, and here's the lyrics for it. I don't remember any of this stuff. I mean, it's so many albums over so many years that, yeah, it's a nightmare, all these things. I wish I had like a teleprompter, but that would be really, like, not appropriate for the level at which I function at. All right. I'm getting through these guys, thank you. What is your favorite post-shred snack? Fucking rights. I like anything spicy. So after dinner tonight, I asked for like a paneer curry that would make me cry. I love that. Have you seen Chili Klaus? Have you seen that guy? He's so great. And that Hot Ones show too. Yeah. I mean, I don't like it at that level where it's like so brutal, but I like it to the point where it's like it's like hot food is like you can be angry without having to take it out on anybody. You can eat like, fuck! And like, what's wrong? I'm like, no, it's cool. It's just fuck! Do you give good hugs? I don't, actually. I think I give insincere hugs that are rooted in wanting to give good hugs, but I think that when they teach autistic children, about personal space, a lot of times they refer to it as a blueberry. They're like, you're surrounded by a big blueberry. So, and everybody is. You want to make sure that you don't get into somebody else's blueberry, right? My blueberry is fucking enormous. But I care about people and I like interaction with other human beings, but it's like, it's just so weird. I think that's my biggest problem with sex too, because it's like, I mean, I'm a dude, I'm a human being. I mean, sex is like foremost in my mind, but it's fucking gross. And it's like this weird combination of things. I'm like, oh yeah, oh god, oh, this is so sick. And I think because I like spent so much time intellectualizing my emotions, it's like it pisses me off when like the lizard brain kicks in. I'm like, well, basically it's about procreation, and there's no real reason other than the pheromones. It's so fucking gross, but it's awesome. So, you know, hey, I don't give great hugs. How do you make them tits fart? We've been there. What tips do you have, music production / engineering wise? And do you still suck dick for crack money? Okay, so in terms of production, it's about submixing. So essentially, I have many sessions that are itemized as per what the instrument is. And then I sequentially move along. In my mind, I've got an order. I go from drums, bass, guitar, guitar effects, keyboards, vocals, choir, orchestra, and then sound effects. And each one of those things are itemized in terms of sessions. And any changes I make in those sessions, I'll itemize as 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, do a remix of that, and then import it into the master session. So by the end of it, you're working off of master sessions, just in general. And so the workload and the product load of 700 tracks or whatever gets rooted down to about 35 that you can sort of spend your time and work the frequency range so it evolves from the beginning of the writing process to the very end, and it's very efficient. In terms of sucking dick for crack money, I've never actually done it. I've never actually tried crack. I've never sucked and I don't think it's on my radar either. But you know, I appreciate the question. Okay. If Ziltoid is Ziltoidian, is it not weird that he is essentially the alien version of a human being called human? Wait, I need to... Faye, aged 4.5, it says. All right, so... If Ziltoid is... Let me get this in my head. If Ziltoid is Ziltoidian, is it not weird that he is essentially the alien version of a human being called human? I don't think that the concept of Ziltoid eliminates anything that could be potentially construed as weird. And in fact, I think that's where it's musically liberating for me. Even the word omniscient isn't really a word. It should be omniscient. So I love being able to just rationalize anything that doesn't make sense in the Ziltoidian world by saying, that's how they do it on Ziltoidia. And so he is essentially an alien version of a human being called human because art. Of all the music, I'm getting through this guy for good. Thank you so much for being here, honestly. That sounded like one of my hugs. All right, so. Of all the musicians you've been in bands with and collaborated with, which would be the last survivor of the zombie apocalypse? My money's on Byron, but I have a side bet on Dirk because he seems crafty. I think Dirk would be among the first to go because he's very, 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 very sweet and soft and kind, and that will not go in a zombie apocalypse. The craftiest of all is probably Byron, and I think not only will he be there at the end, but he would have like a whole thing going on where people would have to answer to him. We went out for lunch a couple of days ago, or a couple of weeks back, a couple of months. Holy fuck, I've been gone for a while. And he's got bifocals now, so Byron with bifocals. But in terms of the zombie apocalypse, man, I got a lot of people I've worked with that would have a coalition at the end there, I think. Most of the strapping crew would survive. I think the only one that would have a problem would be me. All right, who is the doggy and why is he full of the woof woof? Okay, so we have a dog named Oliver who is a fucking mental case. And the reason he's a mental case is because he ran into a raccoon when he was a puppy. And it scared the shit out of him. He's been traumatized to the point now where his adrenaline levels always run at 94%. So anything pushes him over. And once he's over, that's it. You can't calm him down. So we've got him on high doses of CBD oil, which actually helps. Yes. They gave him the doggy CBD oil, and he was like not having it. So we put him on like 1,000 milligram human like motherfucker CBD oil, and now he's just kind of like whoa. But he just anything happens like a gnat lands on a twig 3 streets away, and the dog's like, holy shit! Going crazy, his eyes are bugging out. And then when I'm trying to work, or I'm trying to think, or I'm trying to do anything, I'm like, fucking dog. So he's a little doggy, and he's full of the wolf wolf. His name's Ollie. Ollie is fucking. Which part of empath was the hardest to bring together as a concept? Fucking all of it. Singularity was easier than I had anticipated because the objective for it was clear, really clear. I think Borderlands was the hardest to mix because it was all within one session. You had to go between a bunch of different aesthetics, which was very complicated to make it work. But the whole thing, there's only been 3 albums that have kind of been this challenging to do, and that was Infinity, Alien, and Empath. So yeah, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. Thank you. What song off Empath are you most looking forward to playing live? Oh God, I know I didn't think about that at all. Borderlands. I don't know. I've been so happily not thinking about the set list. And everybody who's now in the band, who I know is going to be in this first run, I'm going to have different bands doing different things, but I know who's going to be in the first one. It's going to be really wicked. And they keep saying, so what's the set? And I'm like, I don't want to think about it yet. So I'm not. All right. Any chance of playing Meatball live? Fuck no. Okay. So. How come the story about the bird who didn't know how to fly keeps coming up in your songs? Well, the first version of that little thing was me when I was 3 years old. At the end of the Strapping Out Loud record, Heavy's Really Heavy Thing, that was my mom. My mom used to follow me around and just like, and so I was like, and what there is a bird, she's the best. And so the idea was when it came to Empath, because it's kind of come full circle, what I'm going to be doing next, musically and artistically, is going to be much different, I think, at least for the interim. And so Empath summarizes and reflects on it all. And so having someone who's 90 years old do that speech was almost a way of sort of taking that infant in the beginning that was so hung up on anger and all this stuff and sort of having a conclusion to it. Actually, the guy whose voice that is, so my buddy who helps me engineer, and his name's Nolly. He was in Periphery, and he was great. Nolly, right? That's his dad. That's doing the intro. Yeah, that's Nolly's dad, because we were at his house, and Nolly's dad is 90 years old. And so we asked if he would do it, and that was him. And there's a lady that sings in the middle of Sprite, and that's actually Nolly's wife. So it was an interesting afternoon for the Get Good family. All right. Do you prefer more bombastic, grandiose shows, for example, Retinal Circus, Plovdiv, or more intimate settings like this and the Camden Garden Clinic? P.S. I wore my Hawaiian shirt this time. Woo! Okay, well, thank you for the Hawaiian shirt. I don't know if we had discussed that, but apparently we did, because it implies that we did. So it doesn't appear like I'm forgetful. I'll say, thank God, man. Fucking rights, buddy. All right, and so to answer the first part of the question, I want either one of two things. I want to be completely invisible, where I want to play music where no one can see me, no one knows it's me. I love the idea of playing at a coffee shop. I love that. But not being seen. I don't want people, I just want to play for people. I really like playing music for people, and I am uncomfortable often with the attention that it brings. Conversely, I want to do what the Spirits Will Collide video does, where it's 1 billion people, elephants, gorillas, and a 4,000 person choir. So, somewhere in the middle is the truth. How would you describe, I got 2 more questions. How would you describe your creative process on a good day? My creative process starts with being in the presence of an experience that instills in me a moment of emotional significance. By that, I mean something that makes me aware of the fact that things are larger than me, whatever that is. And it can be groups of human beings, or death, or birth, or war, or anything, really. Just something that is, oh, this is something that is imprinting itself on my DNA. At that point, I have a compulsion artistically to represent that to the best of my ability so other people can hear in it through my bias and through my trip, a middle-class white Canadian male, whatever it is, something that resonates with the truth in that original moment. If you do that correctly, then other people recognize within that truth something that is more universal, and through that you have a reflection of yourself. And so if you are making art and music from the place of wanting to honor those moments of truth, then other people resonate with that and not with you. It comes through your bias, and there's certain things about the aesthetic of me being me, like farts and puppets and all this shit, right? But ultimately what I'm trying to represent is something that isn't me. It's something that's much bigger than me. And I think that any artists, painters, cartoonists even, it's like, how do you draw an analogy to something that's that profoundly fucking awesome that other people can say, great, I've had a moment where I can recognize that same thing. Been there too, seen that, all good. And then the music becomes a soundtrack for the experience that some people like, some people don't like. I mean, it depends on whether or not you resonate with the artist's biases. And then the creative process for me is about trying to uncover through that the things that are wrong about the way that I am putting it onto a DAW, onto a digital audio workstation. So a lot of my process is the vision is clear, but it's an emotional vision. It's not an articulate vision. And then the whole record is just me just trying things and removing it. Trying it and removing it. Like going down some avenue that I'm thinking, clearly this is going to get me closer to that feeling. And then realizing a week into it that I'm now going further away from it. I don't feel that anymore. And then having to, again, going back to the failure thing, going, okay, I'm just going to write that off. The money that went into it, or the effort that went into it, or the fact that I thought it was going to work and it didn't, let it go, try and go back to the original idea. And at the end, you just pick at it until it doesn't piss you off anymore. And then if you have a deadline, you're fortunate because then you can let it go, knowing that it's never going to be perfect. And then hopefully people hear it and are able to say, that's not Devin. It's not you, whoever does the art. It's something that's like way more than that. And then the work that the artist does is just like, you did a good job trying to represent something that is greater than you. That's what the creative process is. And if you do it right, then people are got something cool to listen to. Last question. Generally, your music/lyrics are metaphoric and have a deeper meaning under the surface. Do you normally base music around the lyrics, vice versa, or just a mix of both? Basically, the reason why I try and use metaphor or puppets or any of these things to sort of get the point across is because I think the more specific I get about it, the less it can relate to other people's circumstances. Like, the best example of that recently is like now I pee sitting down in the middle of the night, like every time. Like I used to stand there, but now I pee sitting down. If I was to make a song about middle age and its concept, which is a direct reflection of what made me feel that way, was about pissing while I'm sitting down, I think there's going to be a real small margin of people that are going to relate. However, if you use something as an analogy for that, whatever that would mean, it's a hard one to sort of define right now, then I think the chances of it adhering more to people's personal things will be greatly enhanced. So, to be fair though, I try to use less metaphor on empath than I have in the past, just because, oops, guitar there. I think I started going down this avenue of being too emotionally evasive because I didn't want to make myself vulnerable. But recently I realized that by consciously making yourself vulnerable by being honest, then you've got nothing to have to pretend. Which makes it very easy to get out on stage and do this shit because ultimately it's like, what can I say
that would be like more embarrassing? You know?
What are you gonna do? You talk about your balls shooting into your stomach, like.